Hello, welcome to Klosmi Commentary, episode 8.
Yes, welcome.
If you love or hate football, we're here for you.
Yeah, we're here for you.
Today was a bit of a scattergun approach. We talked about so many things, going from a stadium collapse, update on that, UCL dropouts, Honduras derby, dangerous place to go, Corinthian women's team, Champions League having the wrong name, stuff going on in Italy, the transfer news, including Neymar, Pogba, Bale, Coutinho, just about is everywhere.
Everything's annoying.
Before we eventually get to the main part of the day, Super Cup, the Premier League's action, including the City Tottenham VAR controversy.
Yeah, the bloody VAR. Yeah.
And looking at Norwich, Brighton, and Liverpool's fortune. So sit back, enjoy.
Enjoy the show.
So we're getting closer to the start of the season for all the leagues. We've got most of them in now. The Spanish league has started up. The other one that we like a little bit better, the German league has started up. The French league started with the English league, so they're up and running. Just the Italians we're waiting for now.
The Italians,
just Italy
this week
of the main ones anyway. Yeah,
I'm excited.
That's the next one.
I'm excited.
But we're going to start this one off with a recap to last week. We said we'd follow up on the AZ Alkmaar Stadium collapse.
Yes.
I did.
I didn't.
Yeah. Because, look, I just saw it on my to-do list, so I did it. So, they didn't end up playing in the stadium because it is still...
Not, no.
Yeah, well, it's structurally unsound. You can't fix that in a week. So
they're playing in... They played a home game on the weekend.
Yes.
But they played it in Den Haag, or The Hague
in
English, which is closer to Rotterdam, which is actually quite far from...
Well, actually, you looked at the map, so I lied. Cos did some research
Amsterdam's
as well.
like where Amsterdam is, right? Alkmaar is like...
Well, let's talk about central, north, east, west, left.
I'd say central, more central.
Okay. Amsterdam's in the middle.
Yeah, Alkmaar's approaching the north.
Okay, so a bit higher, yeah.
But the stadium they played in is actually south.
So
where Rotterdam is, it's to the west of very close.
Because Rotterdam's near the sea. They're basically mostly
The Hague is right on the sea.
Yeah, so they're a bit longer to travel now for home games. So, but yeah, it's a small country, so they don't have to travel that far. It's still a distance, though. I mean, you probably at least get it. Yeah, that's a little bit of a trouble. So, it turns out it's nothing to do with the solar panels, just a bit of welding issues. That's the theory going around at the moment because they're still investigating, obviously. But obviously, the stadium is not ready for use yet. They're still investigating. They're going to strengthen the areas that they believe are in other parts of the stadium that haven't collapsed yet, but have the same problems. Yeah, so that's the initial findings, and I don't think we'll have to go back to that because but we'll see if later it comes up.
Well, they're actually guessing.
Yeah, they're still guessing.
It's an educated guess. They're doing repairs in the hope that that's the problem. Yeah. Rather than actually knowing.
Yeah. Well, it's for now.
They have to do it.
But we're going to close that case for now.
They have to do it.
They have to do it. Also, following up on the UCL draw, yes. Ajax this morning scraped a 0-0 draw away from home.
They scraped it, did they?
Apple, yes. They got a red card in 10 minutes to go.
Oh, yes.
And it was 0-0 draw. So they just got through that fixture. They've still got the return leg later on. But the rest of the clubs, I think there were some away wins. I think there's no other big teams that are fighting for survival in the Champions League now because we already lost Porto and Celtic. So that wraps up the European thing for now because the Europa League fixtures will be later in the week. But we'll take a bit of a jump across the pond to the Americas. We don't know which part of America. Well, a bit of Central, a bit of South. We're not going to do this very often, but Cos found some interesting stories out there.
Yeah.
First, the Corinthian women's team, Cos.
Yeah. This team's a very good story. This is a good story. They've won 27 matches in a row. They've equalled the record of all time.
All teams.
Of all teams.
Was that Brisbane Roar?
The Brisbane Roar.
Yeah, Brisbane Roar. I'm pretty sure they held that.
But they're not women. So.
No, you said all teams though.
All women's teams.
Okay,
all
women's teams.
Yeah, I apologise. All women's teams. And they've scored 95 goals and conceded 8.
That's a good record. That'll win you the title in the Premier League, surely.
Oh, if you do that, yeah. Well, no, not necessarily.
Win 27 straight.
Well, if you lose all 8 games that you concede.
Well,
so
but they've won 27 straight. They've won 27 straight.
Yeah.
So that you can't lose if you've won 27 straight.
Well, you can lose your first 8.
But that we said 90 odd goals.
Yeah.
And 8 conceded was during that win period.
During that winning period.
So there were no draws, no losses there. They were all wins.
Mm.
But then obviously that leaves 11 games, which could have been any result. There could be losses. You're not going to win the league with 11 losses.
No,
definitely not.
No.
So, you're right. You could, probably. Yeah, but look, if you win 27 straight, then you probably win a few more in the remaining 11.
If you're that good. Yeah.
The other story, less happy. If you think the derbies are vicious in Europe, and they are pretty vicious in Scotland.
Yeah. Well,
Scotland.
There's only one really, Scotland.
Yeah. Oh well, the derby. I mean, the derbies in England.
Yeah.
It's not whatever. Anyway, Honduras derby ended with bloodshed.
It did.
4 deaths.
4 people died in violence.
And apparently, what else do we know?
What else do I know
about this fixture?
I don't know anything about the fixture. The report did not say who was playing. Just said this derby in Honduras. 4 people died. Apparently,
so it wasn't even necessarily the top league or anything like that.
No, it was just
okay. So
people.
And just your average.
The team bus got attacked. People had hammers, breaking the glass, all that sort of thing. So it was crazy.
We might have to make a further investigation into that.
No, but that's what the report said.
But yeah, that's some good reporting there from Team Klosmi. All right, but yeah. So well, look. Moving on from South America, we are going off back to Europe, and I'll just quickly mention this. I read this article talking about the Champions League and how it's a bit of a joke in the sense that it is called a Champions League because it's the 2 teams that made the final were not champions of their league. Neither the previous season nor the season of the Champions League. The teams, I think, all the teams that made the.
Why don't they just go back to the old name, the European Cup?
Well, the ironic thing is that it went from the European Cup to the Champions League when they stopped having the Champions format, where they just had the champions of the top 16 leagues. So it's a bit funny, and it's kind of right, but it was a bit of a clickbait because saying the Champions League is a joke, something. But the guy was just saying, look, the format is what it is, but don't call it the Champions League. Basically, it's just got the wrong name.
It is the wrong name, yeah.
So,
but it's still a good comp.
Oh, great comp. Italy. What's going on there, Cos?
Well, where do I start?
Oh, well, there's a lot going on.
Frank Ribery.
Frank Ribery
has signed for Fiorentina.
Has he signed, or is he?
No, he's
on his way.
He's there.
He's about to.
He'll be there.
He's about to sign for Fiorentina. But I mean, there is a bit of transfer stuff to talk about in Italy. But before we get to that, I just thought we'd. As a response to Juventus being so dominant in Italy, there was apparently a proposal.
Well, yeah, there was, and it is because this is Juventus have kind of followed the approach.
So they can hear
the approach of Bayern Munich, in the sense that weakening the rivals by signing their best players, right? Now, I don't know if the German team clubs did this, but the Italian clubs have recognised that we have to stop Juventus. So, 3 clubs, Inter, Roma and Napoli, have sort of formed an alliance to stop Juventus signing Mauro Icardi from Inter. Just to stop them weakening a rival.
And strengthening themselves, obviously.
And strengthening them, yeah.
Is Milan trying to get in on that, or are they're not on the club?
No, they're not in the conversation.
Yeah, Milan's trying to get a seat at the table. But
they're in dire straits, I think.
But we have 7 European titles. Yeah, look.
They do. But right now...
Come back to us when you qualify for the Champions League.
Well, yeah.
Or Europa League.
Yeah. they had a pre-season friendly against a Serie C side, which is the 3rd division in Italian football, Cesena. It was 0-0.
Cesena, they were recently in the Serie A.
Were they?
Oh, Cesena,
were they? Yeah, they probably were.
Yeah, anyway, a few seasons back, but they're in Serie C now.
Cesena.
They were definitely in there. I remember when we were doing our spreadsheets.
Cesena, yeah.
They were.
But they're in the 3rd division now, and they couldn't score. They did not find a goal, and the coach in the press conference.
But did they concede?
They didn't concede, which is very important. Very important that they didn't concede,
especially in Italy.
Yeah, but the coach comes out and says in the press conference, in Italian, but I'll say it in English. We have a long road to go.
That is not a good sign.
No,
that is not a good sign.
For a manager to come out and say that, I'd be concerned.
I would be concerned.
I'd be concerned.
But at least he's honest. I mean,
yes, I appreciate that.
I think the players sometimes buy into the mentality better when they've got an honest coach. As long as he doesn't sort of keep heaping the blame on the players and say, "These guys, no good. I need new players. Come on, give me."
Well, he didn't say any of that.
Yeah, well, no, it sounds like he's saying
so,
we have a long way to go, as opposed to these players have a long way to go. You know what I mean? He's in it.
No,
he's in it with them.
That's true.
So,
that's very true.
Where did they pull this guy from?
Well, he came from Sampdoria. He was the coach of Sampdoria last season,
and he wasn't, from my understanding, the most inspired coaching.
Well, apparently
edition.
Within Italy, he was highly regarded, but not obviously he had never coached outside of Italy, so he wasn't well known.
How old is he?
How old is he? He's not old.
I mean,
he's not young.
Yeah, well, are we talking like...
probably 50, 40,
okay, so he's sort of like in that mid-range of managers. Yeah. So...
that's a guess.
And where did he come from? Did you say he coached outside of Italy as well?
No, he never coached outside of Italy. So he's highly regarded
within
Italy. Yeah.
All right, well, all the best to Milan for their Serie A struggles. Transfer news. One more... well, this is still transfer news, really. Apparently, Manchester United did not sign Bruno Fernandes. Not because, they couldn't sign him or anything like that, but they did some analysis on him, and he loses the ball too much, apparently.
Who the hell is Bruno Fernandes?
Plays for Sporting Lisbon.
Ah.
Liverpool played them in the preseason. He was by far the most dangerous player on the pitch. Looked very interesting, but...
Did he lose the ball in that match?
I think he did more good than harm, but I think he scored a goal by shooting from long range, and it just bobbled. And
is that how we lost the ball? Because he shot?
Well, Mignolet kind of just... he would have lost the ball normally because it was sort of like a standard, keeper picks up the ball, but it just bobbled and he missed it. He hit his hands, went to the goal. It was terrible.
I'm talking about Fernandes.
Yeah, I know. It's if you lose the ball by scoring goals, that's a good way to lose the ball.
Yeah, that's a good way to lose it.
But into more concrete stuff, Balotelli.
Yeah, he's signed for newly promoted Brescia, and that's a nice little touch because he grew up there.
So he's coming home. He's coming home. It's funny how whenever I hear about this story, I always hear ex-Liverpool and Manchester City player. Who thinks of Balotelli as an ex-Liverpool? Ex-City maybe, but ex-Liverpool player. Who really thinks of him as that? I
think of him as a jester. Just a Balotelli, I don't...
Look. Okay,
he never starred for those teams. He
started for City. He was good.
He was okay for City.
No, he was good for City. He was good in big games, but he just did. Look,
he'll always be remembered for assisting Aguero. that final game.
I don't think me and you were onto that because I feel like other people don't appreciate that he set up that goal, the most memorable goal in Premier League history to date.
And it wasn't easy. He had to. It was a
slide.
It was a slide, and there was a lot of effort to get to that ball.
Yeah, I don't think people appreciate that. I know we do.
Yeah,
because we've seen it, and just like it wasn't even like we saw it straight away. It took us a while to really appreciate all the good that went into that pass. But that was the greatest assist in Premier League. Well,
it wasn't the most difficult pass. No. In terms of the effort required to make the pass, but just because he had to get there,
everything that happened in that moment was just so. Oh, that was a great moment. But so he's going home. But in the other parts of Europe, we have, or mostly it's revolving around Spain and a little bit of Manchester United in here.
Oh yeah.
Well, Coutinho finally has left Barcelona. He is on loan,
but he has not gone to PSG.
He has not gone to PSG. Thank God. He's gone to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Some people are wondering where he's going to fit into the system. Don't know, but Bayern is just happy to get a big name in, I think, and.
Well, they're kind of in a slight rebuilding phase, aren't they? So.
Yeah, well, we forgot to mention, actually, talking about Bayern and PSG and Barcelona, neither of those teams won, and in fact, only Bayern avoided a loss. Bayern drew 2-2. Barcelona lost 1-0 to
Athletic Club.
Apparently, what could be the goal of the season, the first goal of the season.
But look, Messi didn't play in that game.
Well, look, Messi didn't play, Suarez came off early, and Coutinho was on his way to Bayern, so... That really, they're three most influential. Because whatever you say about Coutinho, he could actually.
Well, he's a very good player.
Yeah. And the two best players they had on the field were Griezmann and Dembele. I'm not surprised they lost, to be honest. Apparently, they didn't know what to do.
I expect more from Griezmann. Yep.
Griezmann. Well, he just came into the team, and basically the whole support staff was. He's a striker, right? Yeah. He's not a. He's not a get out there and make things happen yourself. You know, he needs someone to give it to him.
I like him.
Well, hopefully his career doesn't just fall apart. And he becomes the next bargaining chip for Barcelona.
Yeah,
it's a terribly run. It's the chaos there is making my heart go warm.
I don't know what's going on over there.
PSG lost 2-1, I think.
I'm not even going to attempt to say
a team that starts with R and ends with S.
Rennes?
I don't think it was. I think it
is Rennes.
Rennes.
Is it Rennes?
Anyway,
I can't speak French.
Starts with R, ends with S.
Yeah.
They're in France. They beat PSG, who didn't play with Neymar. Something's going on there. We're still not sure because Madrid. What was it? Madrid or bust, or was that Bale?
That was Neymar.
Neymar. Madrid or bust.
Yeah. Apparently, it's just probably a report. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, the thing is.
Well, I think Real are trying to hijack it and make it harder for Barca. Really,
I heard it's PSG trying to drag Real into it, so that Barcelona get dragged into it, and they're trying to say, "Oh, we can't let Real get Neymar. We got to do something," And then
the thing is, right? Deadline day will come. What happens if nothing happens? What's Neymar going to do? Well, I'm very interested.
He'll play.
Does he hate PSG that much that he'll sit out the season?
I don't think it's necessarily that bad. I think he knows that PSG are trying to get him out, and the fans are turning on. They've got their protests and stuff. They hate Neymar.
Oh, the fans hate him.
The fans hate him.
So
because they're like, oh, you don't want to play here. Go back to Spain, whatever. They're not happy, but
no, they wouldn't be. No. Yeah.
And Bale's on the other side. He's staying.
Well, he's staying, and with authority.
Staying with
authority.
What he's doing, the authority being Zinedine Zidane.
Yes,
I think there's no better authority.
He's staying there. After he assisted Benzema's goal on the weekend, Zidane's come out and said he'll be staying. That's it.
So we'll probably only hear him that he's leaving once more before the transfer window closes. And then he'll be staying again.
He's the most indispensable, hated man. That's what this Gareth Bale is.
Isn't he a great problem to have?
He is.
Great problem. I don't think he's even causing unrest or anything. I think he's just sort of the way I picture Bale. He's just chilling
He's like that guy who does all the little things to annoy you, but you need him.
But
you need him.
During this whole saga, when everyone's saying, "Oh, you're not going to play for us again," I just picture him sitting on like a lounge chair next to a pool and just drinking like a martini or something like that with his sunglasses on.
Yeah,
I've seen him on ads. He's like
no worry attitude.
Yeah, no worry attitude.
No worries.
Sanchez will probably go to Inter. It seems.
Yeah, that's looking likely at this stage.
Well, the only reason that's happening, I think, is because Sanchez isn't really in Solskjaer's plans.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. I don't understand how he's got.
But the thing is, this guy's been out of form for quite some time.
Oh, he's
had injuries. He's had his injuries, but I'm not quite sure what Inter are doing really.
Conte. He'll fit into the Conte style. He's a workhorse. He's a guy who will hassle. He will.
Yeah, well,
I reckon he'll be good.
Look, if Conte wants him, then generally, yeah.
Yeah, when Conte doesn't do stupid stuff.
I mean, there's skepticism around how effective Lukaku will be, but Conte's been wanting him for a while, so he must see something that that people don't.
Yeah, well,
he must be good for him.
I've always seen Sanchez as a sort of. Well, Sanchez was meant to be a. Was it Suarez replacement? No.
Surely not.
Or did Arsenal, when Arsenal tried to buy Suarez, I don't know. Somehow Suarez and Sanchez were linked. Somehow, Sanchez was meant to be replacing Suarez, or Suarez was meant to be replacing Sanchez, or something like that. I can't remember. Or rather, Sanchez came in because I don't remember. But I remember those two were sort of like in the same category, in a sense. Obviously, Suarez is much better, but Sanchez, just that type of player. The guy will be sort of up front.
He's more of a winger.
Sanchez,
yeah, but he's very effective as a striker.
Yeah, because he played as a 9 or the false 9, whatever you want to call it. But I'd call it a genuine 9. Yeah, he'd hassle.
Well, he's very at his best.
Yeah.
At his best,
but
he was very good.
He just didn't fit into the Manchester United system clearly. And I'm sure Conte will find a good place for him. So good. Best of luck to him if he ends up going to Inter. Best of luck if he doesn't. Actually, no, that's not true because that would mean he stays at Manchester United. So best of luck if he goes to Inter. Although I don't think I like Inter that much either. So good luck to him. Moving on from the transfer stuff, though, I think that's pretty much it for the transfer stuff. There'll be more next week, I'm sure. There'll be follow-ups. Moving into the main part of the program. Starting off with the Super Cup. The Super Cup was played. Liverpool played Chelsea in Istanbul.
It was a good game.
In hot weather, I think.
Oh, it would have been, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been. It was quite warm.
It's not going to be cold over there.
It was a seesawing. It was a great game. The second curtain raiser, in a sense. Liverpool conceded first, so Chelsea drew first blood, and then Liverpool made some changes at half time. Scored shortly after the break.
Well, they were always going to come back.
Yeah. And it was a fairly open game. I think both sides could have conceded more or scored more, but the result was probably on the balance of play.
It was a fair, entertaining game.
Yeah, and it finished 1-1.
Went to penalties.
Yeah, well, it was 1-1 at the end of full time, and then Liverpool took the lead, and then Adrian made an amazing save, and about 60 seconds later conceded a penalty, which was it was soft, but it was there. Like you can, it's one of those penalties that you could give and not give, but they gave it.
It was a 50-50. Chelsea got it and went their way.
And went to penalties. Also, before I forget, the officials for the game was the team from the Women's World Cup final.
I noticed that the officials were the ladies,
and they did a fine job. They did good. Yep. Everyone was quite happy with them, and it was I mean the best women referees out there at the moment. So they, it was the first. I think
it was nice.
Yeah, it was the first big official.
It was a nice touch.
UEFA event that had women refereeing. So this will be like a gate opening to seeing more of.
Well, we hope so.
Because in the end, it's just you just want the best officials out there. And, apparently, women have been officials in a Europa League qualifier some time ago.
Oh yeah,
but this is the first time they've sort of been on the grand stage because there were probably more eyes on this game than there would be on a Europa League qualifier.
Of course,
Not that a Europa League qualifier isn't important, but less eyes on that usually because it's usually just the people from the teams that actually go for them. And Europa League teams qualifying aren't usually that high up. But yeah, they went to penalties. Adrian was the 0, went to hero, made the final save. Was the only save of the whole shootout. No one missed the penalty. They were all on target. So it took a save from Adrian, picked it, went down the middle. Tammy Abraham from Chelsea, poor guy, but he'll get over it. Everyone got behind him afterwards, and unfortunately, copped some abuse online. But what can you do? Online people are terrible, mostly. No, not really. It's just the loud ones.
Well, yeah, it is the loud ones.
Yeah, and, unfortunately, but it's online.
It is.
It's what it is.
What
and
can you do?
I don't think he will. Surely he would have been prepared for all that kind of stuff and deal with it. And the officials try and deal with it their own way through the, trying to find out who makes the comments and stuff like that and blah blah blah. It's a work in progress. We're still dealing with technology these days. So, speaking of technology. Moving into game week 2 for the Premier League, and the highlight of the week was no doubt the City Tottenham game and first blood of the Liverpool Man City rival has been drawn by Tottenham.
Tottenham took points.
Tottenham took points at City as well, which makes it extraordinary. But they didn't do it alone. They had a bit of help. So it was another game that ended in a 2-2 draw.
It was 2-2.
Up until the 92nd minute.
Well, it was like almost the last kick of the game,
where Gabriel Jesus scored the winner to win with no time left to win the game. To win the game for City,
and it was called off, chalked off by VAR. They came in again
for the second time in this fixture.
That's true from the Champions League last season. But the thing is, it was correct.
It was by the rules, which suck. The rules suck. The handball rule.
The handball rule sucks.
It's.
You're saying it sucks.
Well, what do you think about this rule? Because
what is the rule?
So the rule is it's a strange rule, which specifically disallows goals scored by so if an attacking team scores a goal or if a team scores a goal and in the lead up to that goal there is a handball, then it's then it's called. If it was in defending or something like that, they wouldn't call it. But if it's in the lead up to a goal and it touches someone's hand on the way, it's not a goal.
Before the shot or after the shot?
Well, before the shot.
Well,
like in the lead up, like to help control the ball.
It's a handball, Mike. It's still a handball.
No, but it's a different interpretation
because with Laporte,
when there's a goal involved.
With Laporte's case, his arm was outside of the body.
Yeah,
right? His arm was extended out.
You see, this one was a bit
So I would agree with that. But if his arm was in front of his body and was going to hit his body anyway, then that should not be chalked off.
And apparently that would be chalked off.
Yeah, well then that's where it's wrong.
Yeah, it's a very
that's where it's silly. But in Laporte's case, his arm was outside the body.
Yeah, well, in this particular instance, it was a weird one because no one appealed for it. It was just sort of like a silent handball that no one really noticed until 2 minutes later when they're like, hold on, we're just checking for the handball, and I think we found one. It's like they're going dumpster diving for a handball. And And there's been some good goals chalked off. There was a Wolves obviously.
You know what's funny about this VAR thing in the Premier League? There's another funny thing. The video review is located near Heathrow Airport, right?
Right. It's off
the grid.
It's off site.
It's off site, right? That's the first thing. Secondly, there is a rule that if any player or manager goes into the room near this Heathrow Airport video review place, they will be given a red card.
Wait,
that is an official rule.
Wait.
No, I just said, yep. They will be given a red card if they make the trip to this place near the Heathrow Airport. They will not play next game.
Can you imagine
that? That is an actual rule.
Can you imagine how much effort someone would have to go to? Wait, you're saying a player from the game?
From the game, played. Yeah.
So it's probably easier for a London-based team to do.
Yeah, you'd think so, but you never know. But I would assume that rule, like even if a player wants to contest the decision, like even during the week, if he just makes a trip, goes in there, get a red card, miss the game.
It could be a tactical red card, although I don't see how you could make a tactical red
card. I don't see how either, but that's an actual rule. They've anticipated that someone will go into these rooms.
Oh my god, it's some strange rules that they come up. Obviously, it's the first time it's in the Premier League. They're getting used to it. It's just weird. Just weird, but
yeah. Well, apparently. Pep Guardiola's wedding was ruled off by VAR as well, according to Soccer on Sunday
is a brilliant website we like to go to for entertainment purposes. They still reckon it's storage, but apparently it's a former or current footballer. I know they played football at some point, but in the professional leagues, and. Pep Guardiola's marriage called off by VAR, basically. Stupid things like that. But speaking of stupid things, I have to apologise because last week I said that the Brighton manager was a foreigner.
And I went on with it, yep.
Yeah, I was wrong. So there's two wires that crossed me here. One was the fact that he had spent a lot of time abroad at Östersund in Sweden. 8 years he was there before he went to Swansea and then went to Brighton. And the other thing was the Norwich manager is from Germany. That's who I had in mind. And
yes,
I was wrong. Yep. But having seen looked him up now and just worked out
Potter.
Very interesting fella.
Yeah.
He's in Sweden for 8 years. Then he went to Swansea. They signed him because they wanted someone to bring them up the right way, right? He was there for one season last season. They finished 10th. They went to the quarterfinals got knocked out against Manchester City in the League Cup. I think they were up 2-0 and then they lost 3-2. So they were actually but the thing that interests me about him is that apparently he's this super flexible manager who
he can play a number of systems.
Yes, so some guy was describing a game where he came in with one system and then got the players to switch at half time to another system. And by the end of the game, they were playing a third system, and it's not, and it's not a case of him not being able to make up his mind. He was adapting to the situation, and the players knew what to do, like they knew what they were doing, and that is tough. That's some next level stuff there. That is.
Well, adaptability must be his thing. Yeah, he wants his teams to be extremely flexible during the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the best way to really get a result because the different parts of the game call for different situations, and I'm not really sure what the specifics of those tactical switches were, but I will be watching Brighton in this season with a bit more interest.
Well, he just got there, yeah?
Yeah, he just got there.
So it's probably a bit early.
Oh, yeah, he's not going to have all the...
Yeah, like
well, he got there for the start of the season, so paid dividends in the first game. They were up 1-0, and then he made 2 substitutions, and I think both substitutes scored with their first touch.
Yeah,
and it was 3-0.
Yeah.
So he made substitutions to
take
the game away.
That is going to be an interesting team this season.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing them play a bit more. But
that's actually incredible, really, to have your teams playing all those different styles. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I think it's a bit more than just having 3 at the back and playing with wing backs, but it would be interesting to see the details behind that. Those tactical, because it could be subtle, could be bigger, but that flexibility. It's something you don't, especially because he's English as well. You don't expect that from
your typical English manager.
I think he's sort of mid-40s.
Yeah, fair enough. But
so he's quite young. So
it's not something you'd see from really a lot of managers. Like, it doesn't really matter where they're from. Like, most managers would have their way of playing, and then they would basically follow that, and then maybe they'll get a second sort of style, later on if they're there for long enough. But it's quite similar to the first one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, whereas this guy's actually got 3 different ones.
Yeah, well, apparently...
You don't see that very often at all.
No. And I think the fact that he spent those 8 years in Sweden goes a long way towards him being this not very English manager. Like, he seems to be...
that's true.
Because a lot of English managers... obviously, the... whatever country you're brought up in, the football culture sort of drives...
Well, it rubs off on you.
Yeah, well, it drives the way most managers are taught how. You get these Italians that are... most Italian managers have defensive solid.
It's not so much... Well, that's a major part of it, but they're pragmatists. That's mainly what Italians are.
Define pragmatism
very pragmatic.
For me. Like I'm a 6-year-old. Pragmatism. Define it for me.
They'll do anything to win. They'll adopt any situation. They'll adopt something to win the game.
Win at all costs.
Yeah, get the result.
I actually saw a recent interview. No, it was an interview because Jose Mourinho is doing punditry now, and they've got this super team of Mourinho, Neville, Carragher, and some other guys.
That'll be what's his name? Gary Lineker.
No,
isn't he the host?
Oh, maybe he is the host, but Souness is the other one. And he just looks like Graham Souness, ex-Liverpool manager and player. And he was a better player than he was manager. He basically started the downfall of Liverpool.
I'd like to see Mourinho with Neville and Carragher, because the banter between those two.
Yeah, well...
Mourinho might have to play daddy, Just
no.
Behave boys,
Well, no, because Carragher and Neville were sort of... they were almost...
Oh, they give it to each other.
They're almost arguing through Mourinho and sort of... They're saying, what do you think, Mourinho? What do you think, Jose? And it's like, Mourinho... but this and this and this. No. It's kind of funny. But, Mourinho was talking about the 4 phases of football. There's the attacking phase, the defensive phase, and then there's a transition from attack to defense and transition from defense to attack, and talking about them as if they're the basics of football, and they were analysing I think the Manchester United Chelsea game, so they're looking at Lampard and Solskjaer, and I think there was a bit of criticism to Chelsea and the way they played so openly, and they gave so much space for Manchester United to go through. But Mourinho is always going to say something like that. All he thinks about is how to keep a team out, and less about how to make a team reach its full potential. He was never good at that, making a team reach its full potential in terms of its offensive output. Yeah, he was never good at that.
Yeah, no, that wasn't his style.
Although he was good at reaching a team's defensive potential, if you could call it that. But before we get too deep into that.
Well, he's a pragmatist.
Yeah, he's a pragmatist.
That's a pragmatist.
Definitely a pragmatist. Another team I am kind of interested and excited to watch Norwich this season under this German manager.
This German manager has a very distinct style of play, doesn't he?
Maybe not distinct, but
they're all talking about it.
A very in-your-face style, and it's
well, that's distinct.
Yeah,
very identifiable.
Oh, there's a lot of in-your-face teams in the Premier League.
Oh, this guy.
Actually, this guy's particularly in-your-face.
Especially when you've got that big Finn up top striker. Yep.
Yes, Pookie. The first Finn to score in the Premier League since Sami Hyypiä.
Yeah. Is he the first Finn to score a hat-trick in the Premier League?
Possibly. That would not surprise me.
Would be, yeah.
Which he did do on the weekend against Newcastle, who are looking terrible. Well, in terrible shape. Let's just say Newcastle. I fear for their safety.
Well, after their summer, man,
it's a long road for them, and they've got a really tough next few games too. I'm pretty sure there's a City and Tottenham in the midst there, so they've got a really tough start to the season. So they
I hope they beat City. But,
take some points off them. Get geared up. Well, they lost.
It's not going to happen.
They lost 3-1 to Norwich, and they got a consolation goal in the last minute or something, which cost us fantasy points. God damn it! But it is what it is. But Pookie, yes, he scored 4 goals now. He's leading the goal charts with Raheem Sterling.
He is 100%.
So he's got to be in the fantasy team as well. They've got to get him. He's going to be cheap. He's going to be cheap for sure.
No, he's gone up now.
Yeah, but he only goes up by like 0.1 per game.
He's gone up.
He's going to keep going up, yeah. But
gone up.
He's still going to be cheaper than the other options, and he's going to score more goals. So, great option there for the fantasy league. But overall, in the Premier League, the situation is now Liverpool's on top. Only Liverpool and Arsenal. It sets up a top of the table clash this week.
They have done that.
By some miracle, Liverpool and Arsenal are the only two perfect.
Yep.
So something's going to give this week, possibly both. But Liverpool's at home, Arsenal, and really
Liverpool's
speaking,
at home. Yeah.
Anything but an Arsenal walloping is an improvement on just Arsenal in general, because Arsenal
considering what happened last season at Anfield in the Arsenal-Liverpool game,
Arsenal have come to Anfield a lot of times in the last 5-6 years and not left with much but scars. It's been and usually it's been really early too. It's like in the first half hour they cop 4 goals, something like that. They've done that more than once, which is not particularly.
You think Arsenal at this stage of the season as well? They'd be better.
Oh, they'll be better. They'll be better. So I assume Arsenal will get a better performance at least. Results, I hope they won't, because if they somehow get anything from this game, then
look, at this stage of the season, the players are fresh, right? So the performances will be pretty good, and they are dangerous.
Well, Liverpool don't have a midweek fixture this time, so this will be the first game where they're actually.
But still, they'll be dangerous. They've still got Aubameyang, like I said.
Oh, no. Arsenal are dangerous. They've got Pepe, who hasn't really started much yet, so he probably won't even play.
And that Ceballos is looking good.
Is he?
Oh, yeah.
He's looking good?
He's looking good.
Is that just
had a good game last week.
Did he?
Yep.
What does he do?
He got 11 points in Fantasy League.
So this is how we know if a player's been doing well. It's Fantasy League. 11 points, which means he didn't score though, did he?
No, he didn't score.
Just a couple of assists?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He got 11.
Yeah, 11. So he would have got an assist.
They conceded a goal, so he got no clean sheet points.
Yeah, so
he got 11.
So he got 2 points for playing.
There you go.
2 assists.
I like him.
Yeah, that's 8 points, and then 3 points for man of the match. So there's your Ceballos.
No, he's a good player. He's a good player, Ceballos.
Good player.
Or Ceballos, probably.
Yeah, it's hard to Spanish. It's hard to say what it is.
Ceballos.
But the opening fixture is Chelsea against Norwich, and Chelsea are still yet to taste victory this season.
Yes,
in the real season, they lost the first game horribly to Manchester United. They came back well in the Super Cup, drew, but still lost that on penalties, and then they drew at home to Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is they ran out of legs. Apparently, they sort of.
Well, they conceded from a corner, but.
Well, once again, they dominated the game.
Yeah.
There was the whole game. Well, even in the Manchester United game, if you go to the highlights, they're all Chelsea highlights except for the goals.
Yeah, so you can tell they've been a bit unlucky, probably.
Yeah, well, they're still
they're playing well, but the results aren't there.
Yeah, because
which is a bit of the opposite of last season when they weren't playing well and they were getting the results. Especially at the start of the season.
They played okay.
No, at the start of the season.
Didn't they play well at the start?
They were dodgy.
I know they were getting results for sure.
They were getting the results, but they were dodgy.
Yeah, well they were very.
They started playing well later.
Yeah, and then they didn't quite get the results, which is a bit ironic. But yeah, Chelsea. It's more or less like we predicted would happen. That Chelsea would be a big question mark, and they still are. You can't really. They don't. I don't think they're quite capitulating stage.
No, they're not. They're not capitulating. No, they're still playing well.
Yeah, people are still talking about Abramovich's itchy trigger finger, but I think we're still pretty far away from it.
It's not that itchy.
Yeah,
not for this.
You know that I looked at because you get the feeling that he sacks managers halfway through the season, right? They pretty much all left in maybe February, March. So that's well into the second half of the season.
That's well in, yeah.
So if they got that much time, Lampard has got time.
Yeah, the danger with Chelsea, though, is that if the results don't come soon, even if they're playing well, if the results don't come, that's when they could capitulate, because then you start looking at confidence levels, you start looking at, there'll be serious discussions about how to improve performances.
Yeah.
Or get results, and that's when divisions could start within the room.
Yeah, it's the knock-on effect.
Lampard has to handle that.
Yeah,
and this is a new experience for him. So
Lampard probably could handle that pretty well. It's just the
knock-on. I'm not saying he can't.
Yeah, well, that's
another thing to deal with.
Yeah, well, it's the knock-on effect that you need to worry about. It's not the direct results and stuff like that, because it happens. The players know they've got a transfer ban. They couldn't get new players in. They've got a lot of young players there. They've got a young manager in.
They do, but when you play for that shirt, you're under pressure.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but there is... People say there's slightly less pressure, and I think there is, but I don't think they realise how slightly less.
It's not much less. They're still expecting, they're probably still expecting a top four.
Yeah, Abramovich doesn't really know... doesn't understand football, so... He has unrealistic expectations, but but they're slowly looking for, and I think this game against Norwich will be a good one for them. It's away from home, but Norwich is a bit more open.
They are open.
They'll give Chelsea chances,
but they'll take it to Chelsea as well.
Yeah, and
so they got to be careful.
Well, Pukki scored all their goals at the moment, so all 4 of their goals.
Yeah,
and
that's insane.
So it'll be interesting to see how they come together. I expect Chelsea to win that. But who knows?
We don't know.
It's Norwich at home.
We'll only know after the game.
Result. I'm pretty sure I'll be watching that one too, because it's the early game, and the early game is for us 9:30 p.m. So
it's a good.
If you want to call that early, that's only for this part of the season. Later on,
then it becomes
daylight
11:30.
saving pushes it further back. So we take what we can get here. We take what we can get, but. Is there any other before we do ship off, because we can call it a bit earlier this week, unless you've got some things on your mind. No. Manchester City and Tottenham. Okay, going back to that game, because it sort of went on from that in a bit of a rush. That was the game of the week, but the knock-on effects from this game. So. Because Tottenham obviously are touted as the third place favourites, which is weird. It's just a weird thing to say, but they are the third place.
Well, they are the third best team.
They're the standout third team candidate, and despite Arsenal's solid, it's shaky start of the season, really. With their 2 wins, they
got the points.
They won the 2 games.
They got the points.
They haven't done it convincingly, but they've got the 2 points. The 6 points. Tottenham, to me, look like that. Well, a lot of people say they were lucky against Manchester City, but to me, they are a team that can win any fixture.
I don't think they were lucky. If you look at the past games Tottenham have played against City,
it's the same thing.
Well, it's been the same thing.
It's one goal. There's only been a goal in it, basically.
Yeah, it's been close games every time.
And they knocked them out in the Champions League last season.
So
they were lucky in the first leg of that one, but at the same time, they defended really well.
They did, but you can't be lucky every time.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Tottenham's a serious team for City.
I used to think that Manchester United were lucky when in their when they were winning everything, because you have to convince yourself you have to sleep at night somehow. But, but Manchester United, when they were winning games, in their Ferguson years and stuff like that, it was just they did things that resulted in wins, and that resulted in goals, and there were things that were sort of beyond the tactical nuances and stuff like that, like stuff like when you get so many, I think it was like 9 own goals scored.
There was one season where every team was scoring an own goal for Man United, and I was just like, what's going on here?
But it was
then the next season, Wayne Rooney was scoring headers every week.
Yeah,
where did that come from? I don't know where that came from. Well, it's like something every season would happen to make United invincible. And it was something different. But
there was method to the madness, I mean, like their own goals happened because they were drilling so many balls into the box, right? Because teams were just, they're just piling on the defenders, right? Eventually, something's going to go in. Like, it's inevitable.
That's true. Yeah, they're playing the odds.
And that's how that was. It's the same deal here. Tottenham, they like I said, they're a team that can win any fixture in the Premier League. I think not every game, but they can win every fixture. They've got the tools to win every fixture. They won't, but they can. Obviously, they showed it in this game. They went to Manchester City. They took a point off them. As for Manchester City themselves, they were, they were themselves really, but they were a bit loose with their defending because it's they don't know. I don't know. It's like they don't know when to stop. Like they because they took the lead twice, 3 times if you count the ruled out goal, but wasn't to be for them. And I think that there's potential here for a bit of a few more slips from Manchester City, because they tend to slip in bulk.
That's true, don't they? They cluster their slips
because they put so much pressure on themselves, and they cluster their slips. My hope.
But when it's over, it's over.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. If they get a run, then they just steamroll everyone, and it's hard to stop them. So for Liverpool, in terms of the title race, this is the first casualty has been Manchester City, and now it's incredible that you look at these fixtures now and go, all right, that's going towards to
Liverpool already. It's only 2 weeks in.
We're in August, and normally you start counting these losses when you're in March, maybe, but it's in August, and we generally look at that.
Well, last season's fresh in the memory, the way it happened,
and that draw's big. And it's like, it's to Tottenham though, but it doesn't matter. You can't drop points, especially at home. Like, are you ridiculous? No, well, that's the level we're at now.
This is it, yeah.
So it'll be interesting if Liverpool can not slip up against Arsenal. They've got a good platform here. And they've got a few games where they can sort of take the lead early in the season, but that'll turn around later on. Liverpool have a tough run home, so I think that's enough for today, though.
Yep.
So we'll end it there. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so, and subscribe to both the podcast and the YouTube channel. And until next week, when we go to week 3 and the first round of Serie A.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking more forward to it than you are.
Really?
I think, because you're just depressed that Juventus are going to win everything. So I'm so depressed. My team's going to win 8 titles in a row.
They've won 8 in a row. They're going to win 9.
9. There you go. 9 in a row. I know. Life is so bad. It's
just,
terrible. Yep. But that's next week's problem. So until next time, it's been a pleasure. We'll talk to you then.
Yeah, talk to you then.